This is a recap for Monday, February 22nd. So I'm going to start with the screenshots from the video today, and they're a little out of order, but I'm just going to explain which one that I come across. So this first one, just to remind you that the video was about a beet cookie recipe, and so they were tripling the recipe. And one way to do that is through a table. So one recipe takes 2 tablespoons of raspberry jam. So if you double that, then 2 recipes takes 4, and 3 takes 6. So there's 2 for each recipe. And so that's what this table is about. So for 3 recipes, it was 6 tablespoons of jam. Then next was a proportion, 1/2 cup of shredded coconut for one recipe is the same as X cups. So they had a multiplier on this one, and the multiplier was times 3, so that you could figure out how many cups for 3 recipes, and it turned out to be 3 times 1/2, which is 1.5 cups for 3 recipes. The next screenshot was 3 cups of 3/4 of a cup of flour for one recipe needed to be multiplied by 3. So 3 times 3/4 is 9/4, and they simplified that to 2 1/4 cups. So 2 1/4 cups of flour for 3 recipes. All right, the next screenshot is when they talked about taking 1 tablespoon for one recipe, 1 teaspoon for one recipe, 3 teaspoons for 3 recipes, and 3 teaspoons equals 1 tablespoon. So they were just changing, in fact, that's not even this one. This is just changing 1 teaspoon to 3 teaspoons for 3 recipes. Okay, the next screenshot is at the very beginning of the video when they just define proportions. So a comparison of 2 ratios. And one recipe makes 24 cookies. If you multiply each of those numbers by 3, you get 3 recipes and 72 cookies. This one was converting ounces to, or cups to ounces, because they had, their recipe was in ounces, not in cups, and they knew they needed 1.5 cups, and they knew that there was 8 ounces in 1 cup, so they figured out that they needed 12 ounces, which ended up being 1 bag of shredded coconut for the 3 recipes. If you missed any part of the recipes, there it is. So that's how many eggs, beets, jam, vanilla, yogurt, rice flour, baking powder, shredded coconut, which they used twice. Once they put it in the recipe, and once they rolled it in shredded coconut. And the only thing missing is the chocolate that the almonds were dipped in. They didn't have that in there. So if you're thinking about making that, that's missing a couple things. I think I may make it this week. Okay, this is when they changed 1/4 of a cup of shredded coconut and figured out that they needed 3/4 of a cup for 3 recipes. Notice the pattern here, they just keep multiplying by 3. And this was the baking powder and this is where they did 3 teaspoons equals 1 tablespoon. So they converted that. And this is the 10 almonds for 1 recipe, it's 30 almonds for 3 recipes. And finally, they also figured out if 24 cookies is how many you need for 5 kids, then how many would you need for 20 kids? And so they set up a proportion, and they had a X number of cookies for 20 kids. And we're going to be working on really how they did it here this week. But for us, we find a multiplier, and we would just multiply 4 times 24, and we would get 96. So those are the screenshots. And then the other thing I'm going to do in today's recap is if I can go to Pear Deck. Is I am going to do cards 2 and 4 from today's Pear Deck. So let's go here. And here's card 2. And I'm going to pull out a pen that I can write on. So to get from 6 to 8, we can divide by 8, but what I want to do is I'm going to multiply by, let's see, I'm going to multiply by 8 divided by 64, which is 1/8. But I want to show how this works because I divide 64 by 64, I get 1, and this is equal to 8. So I could multiply 64 times 8 64ths to get 8. So I multiply 8 times that same thing, 8 64ths. And that's 64 over 64. So that's where we can get D is equal to 1. I'm going to do the same thing on each of these. So to get from 12 to 24, I'm sorry, 24 to 12, I'm going to multiply by 12 24ths. I know I could multiply by half or divide by 2, but I want to do the same thing times 54 times 12 24ths. And that's equal to 27. So A is equal to 27. To get from 48 to 16, or, excuse me, since I know what this 28 is down here, I'm going to go from 16 to 48. So 16 to 48, I'm going to multiply by 48 sixteenths, because I know that those cancel out, and that's equal to 48. Now this happens to be 3. I know that that's 3. So that means I'm going to do 28 times 3. So B is equal to, this is 84. B is equal to 84 on that. And I'm going to go from 36 to 18. So I can go from 94 to B. So 36 times 36 18ths, those cancel out, so that means I'm going to do 94 times 18 36, which is 1/2, and 1/2 of 94 is 47. So B is equal to 47. Okay, I'm going to delete that and do the same thing. This time I'm going to grab a calculator and I'm going to do the same thing. So we're just going to keep repeating the same method, 28 to 20, so that I can go from 83 to D. So I'm going to do 28 times 20 over 28. That gets me to 20. So I'm going to do 83 times that same thing, 20 over 28. So on my calculator, I'm just going to do 83 times 20 and divide that by 28. And I can round this to about 59.3 because it says to round the nearest one decimal. So let's see, how do I get from 34 to 96? 34 times 96 34ths, because those will cancel out. So I'm going to do 97 times 96/34. That's 97 times 96. Take that answer, which is 9,312, and divided by 34. And this rounds to about 273.9. Okay, let's do, whoops. I'll get rid of that last little bit there. I'll write that in here. 273.9. Okay, so to get from 37 to 47, 37 times 47/37. That's going to equal 47 because these just cancel out. So I'm going to do 83 times the same exact thing to keep it equivalent. So 47 times 87 is 4,089, and we're going to divide that by 37. And that is rounded to 110.5. So this is 110.5. Let's see if that makes sense. This is a little less than, so that's definitely a mistake, which we're going to find here, because it should be less than the 83, because 37 is less than 47. So I'm going to go back through here, and I'm going to find my error. All right, so 30, I'm going to multiply, oh, I went the wrong direction. I should have been going from 47 to 37. So this should have been the opposite of that. So I'm going to back up here. And again, I found this 110 and I realized that's too large. That doesn't make sense. It's out of proportion. So we're going to back up and fix that mistake. So the mistake that I did was I went from here to here. I went from 37 to 47, and then that would take me from multiplying b to get 83, but I was really, the known amount is right here, and I should be thinking, how do I get from 47 to 37 using multiplication? So that's 47 times, and I want the 47 to cancel out, and this is 37. So then I do 83 times 37/47. So I'm going to do 83 times 37 is equal to 3,071. I divide that by 47, and that is equal to about 65.3, and that makes a lot more sense, 65.3, because 47 is a little less than twice, or 83 is a little less than twice 47. If I double 47, I get to 94, a little bit more than 83. If I double 37, I get 74, and that's a little bit more than that. So that proportional reasoning works. So this time I'll be a little bit more careful. I'm going from 59 to 87 so that I can go from 61 to my unknown. So 59 times, I put 59 there so that it cancels out and it leaves me with 87. So I'm going to do 61 times 87/59. 61 times 87 is 5,307, and we'll divide that by 59. Divided by 59 is right around 89.9, so almost 90. So B is equal to 89.9. Let's see if that makes sense. Yeah, 59 is almost 61, and 87 is almost 89.9. So those seem to be proportional. Okay, so that is a recap for Monday, February 22nd.